Shalom, ladies. I am Lisa Bailey from House of Sarah, and I am coming out here to introduce myself basically and to share a little bit on our pertaining to our roundtable talk that will be starting soon later this month. I'm very excited, first of all, that we are starting this, that we'll be able to interact with all of you ladies, and we'll all have a chance to come together and talk about these topics and encourage one another and build each other up in the faith and in our walk and as women of Yah. So our first topic for discussion, as Rebecca Nava has said, is going to be about the disasters we've experienced recently. And we've experienced disasters in this country, but they've really been worldwide. And then also the political situation. And so we are just sharing our thoughts as women that are following the Most High, and how do we posture ourselves in these times, and how do we make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to do? And one of the first things that I want to say, and this would pertain to both topics, and this would pertain to any topic actually, I want to first say that we need to make sure that we are that we know the word, and that we are posturing ourselves or putting ourselves in a place to hear Abba Father's voice. We need to be prayerful. We need to be in the word. And that is, we are building that deep relationship with him. We are deepening our faith because we know that these things are coming. The word tells us that these are the times that we have entered into. So we know these things are coming, and we need to make sure that we are not so distracted by the news and by social media and all of these things that we aren't able to focus and intentionally posture ourselves to hear the voice of Abba Father. So my first thing would be building that relationship now. It's something that's ongoing, but we need to do that. We need to be in a place where we can hear him, because we know that he's our strength, he's our source. He gives us wisdom. So as we walk through difficult times, that's where our answers are going to come from. So we need to make sure we're able to hear and receive from him. So that is the first thing that I want to say. And I'm going to be brief, because I know that we'll be able to talk more deeply about these topics, and everybody will be able to give their input, which I'm so excited about. So I'm just going to be brief on some of these points. And I want to say about disasters. I mean, we've seen the things that happened over on the East Coast a month or two ago. Awful. We've seen that the government didn't step in as we would have expected or have liked them to. And so we need to take note. We need to take note of what we're seeing and what's happening. And I would say to you, as the Father has said to me, order your home. And he said that to me, and I've been trying to do that. And when I say order your home, it's not relegated to only physical preparation. We need to order our home so that our homes are in spiritual order and physical order. And as the woman of the house, we need to make sure that we, as the woman in Proverbs 31, we are making a way for our household. We are preparing our household for the different seasons. So if we walk in a season of plenty, great, but that season won't last forever. And so we need to be preparing for those times. And I think back to Joseph, and when Pharaoh had the dream and Joseph interpreted it, there were several years before that famine was going to come. And there were years of plenty. And it would have been very easy for Joseph to lull himself into a mindset of complacency. Everything was there, everything was available. But what did he do? He prepared. He used those years of plenty to prepare for what he knew was coming. And we are in that same position. Though we don't know the time frame, we know what the word says. So we know that difficult times are coming, be it disasters, famines. We have all the scriptures to tell us of those things that are going to be. And so it would be wise of us to prepare. And it doesn't matter our station now. We may have little, but we can still put some aside. When we shop, we can buy extra packs of beans, like dry beans, various things that are not very expensive. We can buy extra and put it aside. If we have land, and even if we have a small plot, whatever we have, we need to make use of. We need not to think, well, I need acres and acres to be able to do anything. Whatever station you're in, even if you only have some dirt outside in a patio, there's something that you can grow. When you go to the grocery store, there's a little extra you can buy and put aside. And I think that's our responsibility as women. We are not only preparing our household for times, but as the Father showed me, also prepare for those that He might send to us. He will send He will send to us, or send us to people that need to be ministered to spiritually and physically. As we see with the disasters, people had to help those that did not have. And so we might be that person that is there to provide help, but also we want our families to be prepared. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say on that. And then politically, oh my goodness, this this election season that we've had, was wow. So much happened, and it was in some ways a very new experience, because it was so different from some of the elections that I know I've remembered throughout my life. Things have just gotten so much more intense, and so much more division, and so much more anger and hatred and violence. It's very, very much disconcerting. But I want to say that as believers, first of all, we know from whence our help comes, and it's not a political candidate. And this is not me discouraging anything. We live in this world. We are a part of this world, but we're not of it. And we need to remember that whether the person we are rooting for wins or loses, our help comes from above. And there's no political candidate that can block the Most High from doing what He is going to do. So I would say that we first of all need to not be afraid of who is in office or who might be in office, whether this election season or one to come. Be informed. I think that's important. We need to know what is going on around us, but we need to not let it shake us. We need to not let it, our Savior is not a man, so we don't need to be so wrapped up in it that it's affecting us mentally. Because as I said, that's not where our help comes from. That's not where our answers are in the Word. And everything that we need, He's going to provide. And so that's why, going back to make sure we're able to hear His voice, make sure we're listening, make sure we're not just so caught up in this system. And I have to say that the closer I get to the Most High, the more I want to disentangle myself from this system, because I realize who is over this system of things, not over our Father, but a lot of the things of our culture, of our world, the enemy, he has puppets that he's controlling, and we need to not allow that to make us fear, to cause us to fear. We need to be equipped to minister to other people in the time of needs and in these difficult times, which means that we need to be strong and strengthened and know where we are. I also think it's important to have a community of believers that we can connect to. And while that may be a community that's right there with you, you might have local people that you get together with. It is also this group, women coming together. We are a community of believers. We're here to strengthen each other, to talk about these issues, to give each other ideas. And even in those times, we may be able to help each other. So those are just some of the points that I'd like to stress at this point. I'm so excited to hear what everyone else has to say. And I'm so looking forward to meeting all of you and seeing this round table take off and move forward. I love you, ladies. And remember, we have prayer every Tuesday. So if you have any requests, let us know. Shalom.
Shalom, sisters. It's Michelle. I'm so happy to be here. And first, I'd like to say Tada to Rabitza Nava for bringing us back together again and re-engaging us and, making this roundtable Torah talk happen. So I'm so happy again to be here. I look forward to everyone's encouraging words, their thoughts, their insight into all the different topics of discussion as well. So first question that was posed to us from Rabitza Nava was, how, and I'm going to paraphrase here, how are we, women of the covenant, children of Abba, daughters of Abba, how are we preparing ourselves and progressing or making our way through everything that's happening in today's world, society, from a weather perspective, the phenomena in regards to the weather, the political atmosphere. So I'm going to focus on, and I guess it's the same response across the board, but I'm going to focus on the political atmosphere. And I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back to the year 2008. So I was not in this way of life back in 2008. I'll call myself a wayward child at that point. But I knew Abba, but I didn't know him the way that I know him today. So I wasn't in Torah. I wasn't being guided and instructed and following his commands, his words as well. But anyway, so back in 2008, everyone remembers, you remember what had transpired in 2008. It was quite chaotic. The stock market crashed. People were losing their homes. Lots of folks were losing their jobs, so I like to think of it as a way of everyone was just fearful because of the financial strains here in the U.S. But what happened, and I was part of it as well, but what happened, I had a dream. Abba spoke to me in that dream, and he gave me the word kanaf. I knew no Hebrew. But I went to my sister Rabitza Nava and I shared with her my dream and I shared the word kanaf. And she was like, wings. And I tell you folks, that has just stuck with me over the years. And all the different circumstances that I find myself in, I remember to take shelter under his wing, not to put my trust in man or to look at all the chaos or the storms that are surrounding me. But just like in the center of a hurricane or the center of a really bad storm, you look up and it's clear. And who's that? That's Yeshua. So I'm going to leave you with two scriptures. The first one is Psalm 146:3. It says, do not put your trust in princes and mortal men who cannot save. And then the second scripture is from Psalm as well, Psalms 91:4. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and buckler. So those, Psalm 91:4 is my go-to scripture. And I encourage you as well to put your trust in Yeshua, not mere man. Keep your eyes on Yeshua, not mere man, not the circumstances around you, but let him be your shield and your guide. So I look forward to, I think it's the 26th of this month, the Round Torah Table Talk, where everyone can come in and participate and join the conversation. So I look forward to hearing from all of you all. You ladies, we've greatly missed you, and see you soon. Shalom.
Hello, ladies. And considering the recent storms across our nation and even around the world, whether that be tornadoes, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, and even those storms of a political nature, government agendas, elections, so on and so forth. There's so much going on in our society, and it is easy to become distracted by those things. It is easy to become overwhelmed by those things. And I think that it is vital that we, as women of our homes, maintain our peace, that we do not allow those external factors to overrule the peace we are to cultivate within our homes. We must stay consistent in prayer, in Bible reading, in walking by faith for our households, in front of our husbands and our children. And in considering these storms, one thought that comes to mind is what storms in life, from a spiritual perspective, do we bring upon ourselves? I am reminded of the prophet Jonah, who was a righteous man, a prophet of Yah, yet he faced a storm. And that storm was brought upon him due to his own actions, his own disobedience before the Father. And just using that as a thought, I wonder how many storms do we allow to come upon our lives and within our homes due to our disobedience. And so I think that when we see storms rage around us externally, it is a good reminder to stop and have some introspection, some reflection, to say, am I walking by faith in this area or that area? Am I walking in obedience to the Spirit of Yah in this area or that area? I think there is a difference between the trials we face as believers when tides come upon us and we must ride them out by faith. That's different from those that are sent our way due to a point that Yah has given us instruction on, and we did not carry that out. So I think that in the midst of these storms, it is a good time to reflect. It's a good time for prayer. It is a good time to ask the Father where we need to shape up, where we need to follow Him more closely so that we are not bringing unnecessary storms in our lives. So those are just my thoughts, and I look forward to seeing everyone at our roundtable talk.
Shalom, my name is Janelle, and I am honored to be a part of the Roundtable Torah Talk hosted by our Lady-elect, Nava Michaels, and also joining in with other sisters in Messiah that will be coming along and sharing in this discussion. I want to get right into it. As a mother and grandmother, it is important to me how my children view, regardless of their ages. I have older children and grandchildren now. I have grandchildren who are old enough to be able to vote, as well as share their opinions in a general sense about the world and the climate of the world. Recently, we did have the presidential election, and it was a big stir among particular groups of people who is in office. What I would bring to my children and grandchildren is that if who is being elected to run our country is causing fear, confusion, or doubt with your present state or future, that is something we don't need to follow. And as believers, we need to trust the Father Yah for everything, for our total lives. You know, the word of Yah reminds us to trust in Him with all our heart and lean not to our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct our paths. Also, that His word is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. So, and also, if we're willing and obedient, we'll eat the good of the land. It's not that we don't have a moral obligation to know who is running our country and what they stand for. It's important to know these things, and I would stress that to my children. But at the same time, we may not believe everything that they condone or put in act, for our country. It reminded me of the story of King Nebuchadnezzar when he built the statue and wanted everybody to make allegiance to this statue. And the Hebrew boys did not bow their knee to the statue because they kept in their heart the Torah, the instructions that Hashem had given them. They were faithful to that and committed to that. And Yahweh kept them, just as He will keep us if we are faithful to keep His word hidden in our heart that we may not sin against Him. It's good to be aware of what's going on around you, but we can't let it sway our faith. We have to be able to make that distinction. We have to be able to make that separation, what we stand for in a spiritual way versus what the way of the world is going. Also, in terms of like disasters and things that are happening, cost of living, how our food supply is being messed with, and people are getting sick with salmonella poisoning, listeria, these types of things that get into our food. There is a remedy for that I am even learning. And I want to tie in my pastor, Rabbi Ian Michaels and Lady-elect Nava Michaels. Long time back here, heeded the call of obedience as Yah led them out of the city to do homesteading and continue their ministry in the Ozarks. And one thing that I have watched them and the Father grow their ministry is through their obedience and sacrifice of not having the conveniences of the world, of which is not very convenient now. Everything is skyrocketing high, just it's not a good place to be at this point in time. But I truly believe, because my pastors, they listen to the voice of Yah. And the Father opened the Goshen up for them. And for those that are desiring in their hearts to exit the city. This is not to impute fear or anything, but there are places that I believe the Father is raising up people such as my pastor and Lady-elect Nava Michaels, Rebecca Nava, to be trailblazers. And this encourages me, as well as me be able to encourage my family, that there is hope. To go back to the ancient paths or the earlier ways of learning how to grow your crops and have land and those types of resources, and not have such a dependency in the city. And I hope I'm not veering off from our discussion, but we do have to consider all these things. It's an effect on us spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. But if we can hone in on fellowship with one another, prayer, listening to the apostles' teachings, breaking bread together. Not only is that a strength in our private homes with our personal families, but also in our communities. And with me studying Nazarene Judaism, as a woman, as a Nazarene woman, growing in the knowledge of Torah, growing in the knowledge of His Word, in Yeshua, which is my salvation, I am learning how to posture myself, to give uh, keener wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that comes from Hashem to my children or to people in general that may have a question, that may ask. We need to be able to have a ready answer and stand firm in those things. I think that is pretty much all I do want to bring to this discussion. May Yahweh bless and keep you. Thank you so much.
Shalom, I'm Rebitza Nava Michaels, founders of NIHAS. With the coinciding challenges of the recent hurricanes, floods, and the political and social issues, as women, as wives, and as mothers of Israel, it's very important to create a think tank space of poignant questions and discussions toward the goal of drawing us closer to the Father by His Word. Questions such as, how are we to think biblically concerning both of these issues and others? And what scriptures can we furnish in order to build a solid biblical view? Seeing even followers of Messiah being caught up in these storms, especially the political arena, how has this happened? What is our biblical response to ourselves in order to have a ready answer for our families as well as to unbelievers? How do we prepare mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for the onslaught, which will continue to worsen over the next 4 years and after? Being careful of the probability of there being peace and safety, what measures do we as biblical women utilize to help ourselves and our families thrive under this new regime and on into the following years? These have been the basic questions that have been highlighted in my mind lately, and there are no rapid answers, but they can form a good foundation for fruitful discussion and building. Now, I've asked 4 women from the House of Sarah board, whose insights I personally value, who are volunteering their time to join me in creating this special time of discussion just for us. Dr. Lisa Bailey, Jonelle Crawford, Stacy Simmons, and Michelle Hargrove. Prayerfully, the effort will build a stronger biblical view within the hearts and lives of our women, their families, and the communities in whom they have influence. I hope you'll join us for these and other provocative discussions. See you on December the 26th. Shalom.